Greetings. Today we explore the words abomination of desolation. Also, we want to discover what Abomination Day means. So we've got this sign here. Abomination Day means what? All right, we're going to take a look at this. Jesus wants believers to have clear pictures in their minds, not to be vague, not to be wondering what this all means, but to have clear pictures in our minds for the end time events, including the abomination of desolation. Revelation 1:1, the revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave him to show his servants. The very first verse in Revelation, to show his servants, to give them understanding, things which must shortly or speedily take place. Why is Jesus showing us this information? The answer is in verse 3. Revelation 1 verse 3, blessed is he who reads to know accurately. Readeth there can be translated to know accurately. And that's why we have the whole book of Revelation. They that hear, or that could be translated, perceive the sense of what is said. And most people don't perceive the sense of what it is, the abomination of desolation. Right? And the third thing is to keep, to attend carefully, or to obey what Jesus tells us in the book of Revelation. So in chapter 4, we see Jesus again, only four chapters later, wanting to show us more things. For Revelation 4 verse 1, speaking with me, says John, saying, come up here and I will show you things which must take place after this. So the whole book of Revelation is showing us things and things and things and things which are going to take place that we need to be clear about. In the very last chapter of the book of Revelation, Jesus repeats the purpose for the book of Revelation. Sometimes we miss it, we read too fast. Revelation 22:6, the Lord God of the holy prophet sent his angel to show his servants the things which must shortly, speedily take place. Shortly is a bad translation. When they begin to happen, they will happen speedily, because God is in a hurry to get this thing finished. Now we look at flee to the mountains day, right? I have this sign here, flee away day, right? And that is there to remind us that that's primarily what is to happen for those who are in the nation of Israel at the time of the abomination of desolation. He wants believers to be very sure and very clear about which day it is that is the abomination day. Now when abomination day comes, there will only be a few hours before the destruction of the Israel war begins, right? And we see that Luke tells us about it. Jesus uses Luke to warn believers the best time to flee to the mountains. There's two warnings here. There's a warning for when you see armies or army encampments. Then later in Matthew and Mark, there's the imminent warning of like, go now. And we'll see that. But let's first look at Luke 21:20. And when you see Jerusalem surrounded by, and it says armies, but it could have read army encampments, right? When you start setting up camp for a whole bunch of army troops, takes quite a bit of time. You can't do it in one day. It takes time to set up the camps. When you see them setting up the camps, then you know that its desolation, the city of Jerusalem's desolation, is near, but it's not imminent. It's not going to happen that day, because you begin to see day after day after day the setting up of camps and setting up of camps, and eventually they'll all be set up and the troops will move in, and this all takes a period of time. Revelation 21:21, then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. So this is, Luke is saying, this is a good time to go to the mountains, when you see them begin to set up the army encampment, right? And those who are in the midst of her, Jerusalem, don't, leave, get out of Dodge, right? Get out of Jerusalem. Luke gives an early warning mile marker to head up to the mountains, right? When the actual abomination day does occur, Jesus shows in Matthew to go quickly, or else you will suffer. And he says, this is Matthew 24:17, let him on the housetop not go down to take anything out of his house. Well, if you're going to flee to the mountains and stay there for 3.5 years, what are you going to want? You're going to want some equipment, your camping gear, your sleeping bag, whatever, out of your house. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go into your house, and Jesus says, you don't have time. You've left it too late. Then Jesus follows that up with Matthew 24:18. Let him who is in the field, working in the field, not go back, that's the key word, to get his clothes. Okay? Picture somebody working in a field. It's gotten hot. They've taken their outer garment off, and they've put it over there on the fence post, right? And when they hear, their cell phone will ring, somehow or other they'll be contacted, they'll know this is the Abomination Day, and he says, don't go back, right, to get the clothes, and then come back the other way towards the mountain. If the mountains are this way and the clothes are that way, forget the clothes, just leave immediately and head for the mountains this way, right? Daniel was given a 1290-day mile marker in Daniel 12:11. From the time the daily sacrifices is taken away, they will be started and then they'll be stopped. And the abomination of desolation is set up or set forth. There will be 1,290 days. Now, many Bible verses tell us that the official tribulation period is 3.5 years, or 24 months, or 1,260 days. Not 1,290, 1,260. So there's a 30-day difference. Why is there 30 days extra from the Abomination Day until the end of the age of man? Because of the war. Daniel 12:7 shows a 30-day war that desolates, destroys, and ruins the nation of Israel and the city of Jerusalem. Daniel 12:7. Then I heard a man, and he swore that it should be for a time and times and half a time, which in biblical language is the same as 1,260 days, 3.5 years. When the power of the holy people, the nation of Israel, has been completely shattered, totally destroyed, all these things shall be finished. It'll be the end of the age of man, right? In another 1,260 days, after the extra 30 days, which made it 1,290 days. You need to look it up in the scriptures. Luke 21:24. And they will fall by the edge of the sword, warfare, old language for there's going to be a war, and people are going to die in the war. And some people will be led away captive into all nations, into prison camps, like happened in World War II in Hitler's prison camps. And Jerusalem, the city, will be trampled under by the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles is fulfilled. In the extra 30-day period, the nation of Israel will be destroyed. Jerusalem will be trodden underfoot by the Gentiles for the last 3.5 years before Jesus returns, which is the tribulation period. In Revelation 11:2, we're told exactly how long it is. The Gentiles, and they shall tread the holy city underfoot for 42 months, 3.5 years. When we see the morning and evening sacrifices get started, the first day you see the starting of the morning and evening sacrifices in Jerusalem, we can know for sure they will be stopped on the Abomination Day, right? So now we ask who it is that makes Jerusalem desolate. Critical question. So we've got who makes it desolate. And the Bible will tell us who it is. So Jesus wants us to know who it will be that will make the nation of Israel and Jerusalem desolate prior to the Great Tribulation. Matthew 24:15. Jesus says, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, so you've got to go back and look in the book of Daniel, standing in the holy place, then there's a parenthetical statement at the end of that. It says, whoever reads, like whoever's reading this Matthew 24:15, let him understand what the prophet Daniel wrote about the abomination of desolation. And most people, they don't want to stop and go back and do the research in Daniel. They just want to keep reading in Matthew 24, and so they miss the point. Jesus points us to what Daniel wrote for understanding about the abomination of desolation. The old King James Bible, right, had some things wrong and had lots of these and thous in it, and the New King James upgraded that, but they changed this phrase, right? And the Old King James is way more helpful than the New King James on this topic. Daniel 11:31 in the Old King James says, shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place there or set up the abomination that makes desolate, instead of the abomination of desolation, right? Of desolation is like, okay, what are we talking about? But the abomination that makes desolate says that whatever the abomination is, it has the power to make the city of Jerusalem desolate. Same thing in Daniel 12:11, the abomination that makes desolate. So much more clear in the Old King James. If you have an Old King James, go look at it. New King James is just going to give you abomination of desolation. So the Old King James helps us focus on what is desolated, right? So, okay, something's going to get desolated. And also that there's a person, a who, that makes the desolation. The nation and Jerusalem and the city of Jerusalem get desolated, destroyed, ruined, right? So the Old King James tells us that a prince commander will come and destroy, this is critical, both the sanctuary and the city. Now, if you know anything about Jerusalem, if you've seen any video, if you Google it, the old city of Jerusalem is still intact. I walked there, many years ago. The city has not been blown to smithereens. It's still there, the old city. Daniel 9:26 says, the people of the prince commander, right? Prince is what it says. Prince can be, translated commander. He's a military commander. That shall come. The prince shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. Now, the sanctuary has been destroyed multiple times in history. The city is still the city that Jesus walked the streets up and down those little narrow streets. The old city of Jerusalem has not yet been destroyed. So morning and evening sacrifices will begin. They will be stopped on Abomination Day. There'll be 30 days for the city and the nation and the military to be destroyed, and then will be the 3.5 years of the tribulation. So when the prince commander to come is revealed, he will, two major things: A, defile the sanctuary, plus stop the morning and evening sacrifices. Second thing, he will destroy the city and the sanctuary. Now, Russia's leader commander Putin has destroyed many cities in Ukraine. If you've been watching TV, right, he has bombed almost every building in several cities, and those cities have been ruined, destroyed, desolated, right? And that's the kind of language that is being used in the Bible. So Daniel 11:21 shows us that a vile commander person will arise. He's a nasty person. Now, Hitler was a vile, nasty person, but he wasn't, because he's now dead and we haven't had the tribulation yet, right? Daniel 11:21. In his place, the guy before him has been killed. In his place shall arise a vile person, and he will come in peaceably and seize the kingdom or the leadership by intrigue. He's going to be tricky. He's going to tell lies. Daniel 11:31. And forces shall be mustered by him, the same guy as in verse 21, and they shall defile the sanctuary fortress. They shall take away the daily sacrifices. They will place there or set up there or bring forth the abomination that makes desolate. So, okay, we're still looking for an answer to what do you mean abomination? So we learn from Daniel that the prince to come desolates both the sanctuary, which has been done many times before, and the city, which has never been done before. Is still the old city of Jerusalem. Luke's description shows a life and death war that will include much city and nation destruction. So in the future, when you see video shots of the old city of Jerusalem destroyed, that's what we're talking about. Okay, Now we're going to look at the mind, what the thinking is, of the prince commander to come. So here we have the mind of the prince. What is he thinking? Now with Hitler, we knew what Hitler was thinking, right? Well, I wasn't there, right? And you probably weren't there either. So, but in history, in hindsight, we look back and we learn a little bit about history, and we know what Hitler was thinking. Hitler was thinking, I'm going to take total control of all of Europe and all of America and the world, right? So what's the mind of this prince commander we're talking about? Paul shows the thinking of this coming prince in 2 Thessalonians 2:3. That day will not come unless a falling away comes first, and the man of sin, not very descriptive, is revealed, the son of perdition. Still not very descriptive, right? Next verse. Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. Now when you see this on TV, it's going to be like, boom, that's the prince. He says, I am above all gods, right? All that is worshipped. And he sits as God in the temple or the shrine or the holy place of God, the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, showing himself that he is God. Now, I don't know exactly how you show the masses that you are God, but he will be doing it, and the masses will be believing him, and they will accept him as God, the returned Jesus Christ of Nazareth. Now, back in Daniel 11:36, the king leader shall do according to his own will, and he shall, here we go, same language. Now this is in Daniel, right? And that earlier verse was in 2 Thessalonians. So here we are back in Daniel 11:36. The king leader shall do according to his own will, and he shall exalt and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak blasphemies against the God of gods. Well, who's the God of gods? That's God Almighty, the Father and Jesus in heaven, the true God, right? Daniel 11:37. He shall regard neither the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor the regard of any god, for he shall exalt himself above everything, which Jesus Christ will do when he does come. But he comes on white horses, and so the first time you see Jesus coming, he will be in the heavens riding on a white horse with a whole bunch of angels following on white horses. That's how you know it's the real Jesus Christ. From Daniel to Revelation, scholars must have wondered about the above verses in Daniel. Revelation was given to reveal greater understanding for those who are Bible students. Revelation 13:4. So they worshiped the dragon, that's Satan, who gave authority to the beast person, and they worshiped the beast person, saying, who is like the beast, who is able to make war with him? Because he's a great prince commander. Now remember, before the tribulation, the Israeli military and the nation and the city of Jerusalem will be destroyed, leveled, right? So they might as well have said, who can make war with the commander whose armies destroyed the Israeli military, right? They keep saying Australian. The Israeli military is a mighty fighting force, and he will, with the help of Satan, the devil, and trickery, destroy it. Hitler was a beastly person, but his primary goal was just to conquer, not to be worshipped. The one who will come, the one who will make desolate Jerusalem and the nation of Israel, will demand to be worshipped. You worship me or you die, right? God is showing us in various places what the prince to come will be thinking. Now, how does God use the abomination word, which is critical because it's the lead in, the abomination. Oh, okay. How does God use the word? The abomination means vile, disgusting, right? It doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean, it means a vile, disgusting person, prince, who's going to do all of this and make all this trouble and destroy. The Hebrew word in Daniel is Strong's 8251, and its definition is disgusting, filthy, abominable filth and detestable thing. So abomination means primarily disgusting, but filthy, detestable, right? So what have we got? Abomination means disgusting, filthy. Then Old King James says, that maketh desolate, or causes the ruin. What's the missing word? The one, the prince, right? In Ezekiel 7 and Ezekiel 11, this 82:51 word for the abomination, right, is rendered detestable. So Ezekiel 7:20, detestable. Ezekiel 11:18, detestable. And Nahum 3:6, abominable filth. Okay, that's how God uses this same old Hebrew word. But when we get to Daniel, for some strange reason, the translators switch. They switch from that, that rendering of abominable, right, or abominable filth or detestable thing. They switch to just the word abomination, right? So there we have Daniel 11:31. Shall take away the daily sacrifice and place there, this is Old King James, the abomination that makes desolate. So that makes desolate is obvious. It's a military force that makes desolate. But what's the abomination? It's the disgusting, it's the filthy, it's the vile prince that will come. Jesus told us that the key to understanding the two prominent words, abomination, desolation, right, is in Daniel. So whoever reads, let him understand what Daniel was saying. And we've seen that detestable is also a valid translation for that word. 3 times the Old King James translator told us what it is that makes the sanctuary and the city desolate. It's a vile, disgusting person. Jesus told Daniel, Daniel 12:9, go your way, Daniel. The words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. In the time of the end, the words will no longer be sealed. They will be available to be understood when you put the book of Revelation together with what's going on in the world today, with the situation in Jerusalem. There was no Jerusalem worship center for Christians until 1948. There was a whole long period when Jerusalem wasn't a Christian worship center, right? And then 1948 it became a Christian worship center, and it will be destroyed by the prince, the abomination person. So in the time of the end, the words are no longer sealed. Jesus says in Revelation that he wants his servants to know as much as possible about the end time events. Okay, seeing the daily sacrifices ended will be super clear because it happens on the abomination day. So even if you don't understand what the abomination of desolation is, when the sacrifices stop, the 30-day destruction of Israel, the nation war, is about to begin, right? And the destruction of the city, which hasn't happened yet. So in simple terms, the abomination of desolation means the abominable, disgusting prince commander who desolates and destroys the city of Jerusalem.